Welcome to Imperfect Momming. Our children are constantly looking to us for examples. The term role model doesn't quite cut it here. We are shaping their worldview with every move we make. You see, it's not in the lectures we give or moments where we are actively attempting to teach them. It's in the micro movements we make, the unconscious ways in which we navigate life. We are constantly teaching our children how to show up for themselves, their friends, their future partners, and even their future children. So what can we do to ensure we are raising thoughtful, compassionate, self-aware human beings? We have to become them ourselves. No one is perfect, but we can still all be better, and it starts with self-healing. Let's get to it. Good morning, and welcome to Mom Happy Hour. And if you are listening on the Imperfect Momming podcast, welcome to you as well. You know, last night I was having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine, and she's going to go into starting therapy at the end of the month or the beginning of next month. I don't recall what she said. And she said she was nervous about it. And I asked her why. And she said that she was scared that they were going to, well, first of all, she said she was scared of her emotions. And then she said she was scared that they're going to realize that she's crazy and lock her up. And that's not the first time that I've heard that in relation to from moms. And for her specifically, I've been coaching with her for a while. She's my friend, but we have coaching conversations where I treat her like the client because she's eager to change, and she wants to be a better mom for her kids, and she wants to be a better spouse to her husband, and I think that we've been coaching on and off, you know, unofficially for a year or so, maybe two. And I told her, you know, as far as therapy goes, like that's a common fear, that moms think that if they say the wrong thing, that someone's going to show up and take their kids, or someone's going to realize that they're crazy and lock them up. It's a very common fear. I think it's more common when you're inside postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. And so if that's you, know that that's not what's going to happen. And the second thing she was afraid of was her emotions. And I said, you know, that's the beautiful thing about emotions, is once you start expressing them regularly and freely, they stop being so scary. Literally 5 minutes before, 15 minutes before going live, I started to cry, and I was like, oh, I don't want to cry before my live. And so I changed the subject and I started talking about something else, and I started crying again. I was like, I guess these tears are just coming whether I'm ready for them or not. And, you know, the beautiful thing is that once I let them go, once I let them flow, like they stopped choking me up, and I was just able to talk freely, and it actually solidified what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. And so I told, so I'm talking to my friends via text last night, and I was telling her, you know, emotions are what they are. And, you know, emotions actually only last 90 seconds when you feel them. It's all of the other stuff that comes up with it that we haven't been feeling that makes it feel like emotions last longer than 90 seconds. So I said, do you remember when you first started coaching with me that or I said, I remember when you first started coaching with me that you would come to me with every single problem you had, every single one. And there was some days where it was like 3 or 4 a day, and there was sometimes where it was just once or twice a day. And over the last couple years, it's been getting less, where now I often don't get a text from her but once a week, maybe every other week, about a problem. And she said, I want to text you more, but then I just handle it myself. And I said, that right there is the sign of growth. Being able to handle it yourself and really handle it. A lot of times we think we're handling it ourselves, but we're just stuffing it. Right. And that's there's a difference between handling it yourself and stuffing it so you don't have to deal with it. And I think if you've done one or the other, you know the difference. And so I was talking to my other friends. Well, I was talking to both friends about the same thing, and that we have the tools to deal with our issues on our own, where when our issues cause us to fall down, eventually we get faster and faster at picking ourselves up. And ultimately, we get to the point where not as many things make us fall down. So what does falling down look like? Where, I'll give you another real life example. Last night, my mom came over to our house. My mom and my sister and my stepdad and my sister's boyfriend came over, and we all had dinner together. And right before dinner, my son almost tripped my mom. My mom has balance issues, and my son almost tripped my mom. And I had a reaction to it where I swatted him. And I swear to you, I have not laid a hand on my son in 8 years. I have not swatted him like that. But there was a moment of like, he almost made my mom fall. The last time my mom, like one time when my mom fell, she broke her ankle, and she's been told that if she breaks a bone, she'll never walk again. And I know that that's big part of her life is walking around. And so I was very protective of my mom. And in the moment, I felt bad. 100% I felt bad. And in the moment, I said, right after the moment passed, because there was the fear led to the SWAT, which led to the feeling bad, which led to me apologizing. And I said to my son, because I recognized immediately what it was that created my reaction. And I said to my son something that he could relate to. I said, you know how you want to protect your mom? That's how I feel about my mom. And I said, we've asked you, this wasn't the first time that he's, run into somebody that day. He was playing around, having his roller skates on. He ran into me with his roller skates twice. My ankle, of all places, like just, hurts. And I was able to control my response when he hurt me, which I didn't used to be able to do. My emotional response to pain was usually anger. And I've been working on that. And so this time he was able to run into me twice, and I didn't get angry. And the second time I said, okay, this is the second time you've run into me. Let's take the roller skates off in the house. But when he got to almost hurting my mom, totally different feeling, different thing, something I haven't had the opportunity to practice. Now I know that's there. So in the future, it's something that I'll be able to control. But all of these things in the past, I might have felt guilty for a week and a half, 3 weeks, a month, right? But now I don't. I felt bad in the moment. He spent the next probably half an hour on the couch sulking. When I saw him on the couch sulking, I went to him and I said, "Are you upset because I swatted you?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, do you forgive me?" And he shook his head, "No." And I said, "Okay, that's okay for you to be mad at me. And you can stay over here for as long as you want to. And we're gonna go have dinner or lunch. And when you're ready, you can come sit on my lap. How does that sound? Does that sound good to you?" And he nodded his head. And so he stayed for about a half an hour. And then he came over and got hugs and kisses and all the things. So in the past, I don't think I could have let him sit in his emotions either. So the goal is not getting knocked down for as long and being able to pick yourself up after a while. Now I forgot where I was going. You get tools when you're in therapy, when you're in coaching, you get tools to pick yourself up faster. And in time, you're not going to be, these things aren't going to even let you fall. You're not even going to fall down because of these things. So the other thing that I had been thinking about on Saturday when I was driving to a conference was this idea that moms lose their identity, because we do. Because we don't know a lot of times we don't know who we are at our core before we become a mom. And then we put on the mom hat and we never had the Alicia hat on. And then we put the mom hat on, we put the wife hat on, we put the career hat on. And so the Alicia hat is below all of these things. And if it's on at all. So how do we figure out who we really are? How do we figure out what we like? Right? So we never knew, and now we're a mom, and so we feel lost in the role of mom. So what are some things that we can do to figure out who we are? So I'm driving along and it's 70 degrees in the car and I'm cold. And usually what I do is I up it to 75 and then I get hot and then I down it to 70 and then I get cold and then I up it to 75. And I thought, okay, let's try something different. Let's up it 1 to 71 and see how that feels. Oh, it felt good. And so I stopped at 71 and I still got warm and I dropped it down to 70 and I still got cold and I went up to 71. But I was testing the water, essentially testing the air, literally, in this situation. And that's what I do when I hear someone's advice about creating a routine or doing self-care or any kind of advice. You can do this with any kind of advice because people give advice from their heart because it's something that worked for them. But if you're not me, which I don't think you are, if you're not 100% like me, then what I advise you to do might not feel good to you, might not be your path, might not be the thing that you need to fill your cup. or to find out who you are. And I'll give you an example. I did one of those tests, those assessment tests. And the first time that I took this assessment test, and you can go to, it's a Power of When quiz.com, I think. There's a book called The Power of When. I think I've talked about it before on the podcast, but if you weren't around or didn't hear it, there's a book called The Power of When, and there's 4 chronotypes. There's a bear, a wolf, a dolphin, and a lion. And the first time I took the test, it said I was a bear. And I read the description and I was like, I don't want to be a bear. This is not who I am. I don't like to sleep in late. I don't really want to take a nap in the middle of the day. I like to wake up early and I like to go to bed early. And so I looked at the chronotypes and I saw that the lion is the one that wakes up early and goes to bed late. And I was like, oh my gosh. Number one, it's a lion, and I love all things lion. And number 2, that's who I want to be. That's what I want to do. That's how I used to be before I let other people influence me. So that's really how I've always been. I've never stayed up late. I've never enjoyed staying up late. I'm always the person at our New Year's Eve party that falls asleep on the couch and wakes up 10 minutes before New Year's, says, yay, Happy New Year, and goes right back to sleep. 100%. So the lion sounded like me. So I started getting up and being a lion. And then I, have a friend that got really into the Power of When. And she thinks it feels like it's the solution to everything, which is great. And I don't think anything is the solution to everything. And maybe she doesn't think that either, but she uses it as a guidance for her clients. And she's really dissected it of when you should do what. And so I checked out the lion, and lions are most creative in the morning, and they have a little dip after lunch, and then they're done. And so she's given a schedule of what feels good. And so I thought, well, if my brain power is in the morning, why am I wasting my morning doing housework? Because housework is mindless to me. And there are other things that I do mindlessly, like watch TV. So I have this fun little device that plays all of my TV shows on it. So why not do the laundry and the dishes and all of that in the afternoon when I'm mindless, or when I'm doing this, when my mind stops working, according to the Power of When, and I'll do the mindless things in the afternoon. And so I did that for a while. And then being pregnant and giving birth and all of those kinds of fun things disrupted everything. And this morning I went back to doing the laundry, starting the dishes, emptying the dishwasher, and doing all that in the morning. Why? Because there's other things that, like, even though the task is mindless, my mind isn't stopping in the morning. And I like the house to be clean. I like the dishes and the laundry to be done. So I'm going to do those things while I'm thinking about what I'm talking to you guys about today. And then I got on a phone call and cried some tears and jumped on here and had the inspiration to talk to you all. So what is it in your life that you can turn up the dial 1 degree? What can you pick to figure out who you are? What can you try? What can you test? What can you see how it feels to see, is this something that I enjoy? The other message that I got this weekend was that a lot of times we're wanting things to change, but we're not willing to do something different to get the change. And honestly, mamas, that is a recipe for doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's the definition of insanity. So I know we don't want a lot of insane mamas out there. So let's try something different so we can get different results. And how this relates to picking yourself back up. A lot of times we say, oh, I tried that one time and it didn't work. I tried that in the past and I didn't like it. Are you the same person that you were 10 years ago? I'm not. Are you the same person that you were yesterday? Maybe. I'm not. Read a book, watch a YouTube, listen to a podcast, do something different and make a small change and one small change and another small change and another small change. They all add up and they make big changes. So I hope you found this episode valuable. I will see you all next Monday with another happy mom hour. Couldn't remember what I named my own live mom happy hour on Monday morning, and we'll have another episode of Imperfect Momming for you on Thursday. And until we meet again, keep healing. Bye, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Imperfect Momming. It's time for us to step up and realize that our power is not in trying to shape our children. Our power lies in shaping ourselves into the people we want our children to model themselves after. Don't just do it for your kids. Do it for yourself. When you become a more self-aware, compassionate, and confident person, you and everyone around you benefit. For more information about me and my work, visit AliciaLyons.com. That's ALYSIALYONS.com. See you next time.